So the sixth book that I'd like to talk about is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lynn. This book is a retelling of Mulan in a fantasy book with a lot of Chinese folklore, and this was really the most unique kind of retelling that I've ever seen, because like in Mulan, Mulan is a warrior. She wants to be a warrior, and her father cannot go and fight the war, so she dresses up as a male and goes to fight the war. But in this book, we see uh, Maya as a seamstress, and she's really talented. And her father is known to be one of the most greatest tailors in the village. But now there's a new contest where there are supposed to be 12 tailors fighting for the post of the emperor's tailor, and Maya dresses up as a boy to go and do this for her father, for her family, and for herself. So the whole writing is really lyrical. It's beautiful. It has so many descriptions of fabrics, clothing and colors, and it was just a really great read. And it had a lot of adventure where Maya goes on this particular journey to get the tears of the moon and the laughter of the sun. There was one more. I'm so sorry. I'll mention it down below. But it was really poetic, and I really, really enjoyed this. I just read it for very few days. It was really engaging. So the seventh book that I'd like to talk about is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelis. This is a thriller novel with very, very complicated characters. First, we have Theo Faber, our protagonist, and he is a psychoanalyst who wants to get Alicia Berenson, our victim and our patient, Theo Faber's patient, to talk again. Alicia Berenson was known to have killed her husband 5 times with a gun and then never talked again. She was a painter who was married to a photographer, and there were a lot of issues apparently that were discussed in the very beginning of the book. And Theo Faber has his own mess to deal with. This book really took a very, very surprising turn, and it was actually a buddy read for me. I read it with a friend, and we actually finished it in the night at 3 a.m. over a phone call, and we were just breathless and mind blown throughout the whole thing. Although this book was kind of like every other book in the trope of cheating husband or cheating wife, either cheating spouse, but this book actually really weaved the story very well, and every time I got a suspect wrong, I was just mind blown, and I was kind of even upset with myself that I didn't feel intelligent enough to sort the to solve the crime. But this book was really engaging, and I highly suggest that you really read this book. So the eighth book is The Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare from the Shadowhunter Chronicles. It is really difficult to sum up or even summarize or give a synopsis without spoiling the previous books. But what I can say is that this book follows characters that are Emma Carstairs, Julian Blackthorne, Ty Blackthorne, Drusilla Blackthorne, Tavi Blackthorne, and Mark Blackthorne, and also Christina Rosales and Kieran. I keep forgetting his last name. But there are basically a lot of plots going off at the same time. There is a lot of conflict, a huge war scene, and really heartfelt depictions of not being prepared for the war from certain characters that I will not mention, because I think that you should read the entire series to really feel those emotions. Yeah, I can't separate my emotions from my logic because there is barely any in this book. I mean the technical kind. There was a lot of emotion. That's all I can define as, but it's worth it. So the ninth book that I'd like to talk about is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This book is written in verse, and I really love this book as it follows a character called Xiomara Batista. She is basically struggling to understand her mother's relationship with God, and she herself is trying to understand her relationship with herself. So Xiomara Batista also discovers that there is a slam poetry club in her town, and she really loves poetry and she loves expressing herself through poetry. So she finds a way to attend church and these slam poetry sessions to get her words out, to get her dreams, her fight, her struggle, everything out in a very poetic way. This book was just so amazing as it really dealt with themes of self-love, self-pleasure, and basically loving and respecting yourself as a girl, as a woman. And this book really made me cry. It was a great emotional roller coaster ride for me, and I highly recommend reading this book. And I also would like to try other books by Elizabeth Acevedo. So the last and 10th book that I'd like to talk about is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. So this is a collection of novels that follow our assassin, who is Selena Sardartian, and her adventures that happen before she gets caught during a project and she is put into the salt mines of Endovia. I just really liked the stories that were there in the book, and I liked that we really got to know Selena a lot more. She actually felt really well. She was a very well-rounded character and very well fleshed out, and I loved seeing her fall in love. I loved seeing her be human at a lot of times. There was this story about the slaves, which was actually one of my favorite stories, and it was really very well written. I actually really cried. I read this book way after I have finished the entire series. So I now see some of the characters that we meet very late in the end in her main series come into this book, and we find out how she met them again in the series. But I really enjoyed reading this book. It actually got me out of a book slump, and that was a shocker because I had stopped enjoying Sarah J. Maas's books. But I really would like to give another shot, and I am excited. So I really enjoyed doing this video today. I love talking about the books that I really enjoyed in 2020, and I hope to have the same experience in 2021. I'd also like to tell that I am really sorry that I couldn't show you my physical books in person through the video, because most of them were actually just on my Kindle. So if I do more paperbacks next time, any physical copies, then I will definitely show it. But books are books, guys, whether be it audiobook or digital copy or paperback or hardback. Books are books. That's all I can think of. So thank you very much, and see you in my next video. Bye.